This is coming in from Hussein Jafar. He says, my question has always been, is fuel subsidy removal the only solution to our economic woes? Bottom line is fuel price hikes is the only way government can embezzle public funds rapidly. What do you think? Is the subsidy removal the only solution to our economic woes? Because that's like what the government is actually putting forward in the body language of the government. Well, let's remove fuel subsidy and we get more development.
I think it's right. It's right to the extent that subsidy removal is not the only way of saving money. But it's wrong to the extent that of thinking that the subsidy is the only way they can steal money. There are so many avenues of stealing money in this country. See, and the point is that the country is a very rich country. All we are asking for those who believed in what happened last week and that all we're asking for is a more equitable distribution of wealth. Every Nigerian wants to live in a fairly peaceful country where you can drive your reasonable car and it's okay.
But rationally, can we actually live in the state of equity, wealth?
No, we cannot. It may not be achievable simplicity one day, but it is the reason why you have government in the first place. What has happened is that the policy last week of removing the subsidy entirely was an elitist policy, okay, whereby they felt, you can do this and then we'll get away with it. All we have to do is spend some money, play some advert. In fact, they ticked us off to the point where they will now begin, the adverts were knocking people's head together. Oh yeah, the Easterners are not joining. It's only the Northern affair. And people were saying all sorts of things. To the extent they said there was an advert that showed a guy who had 6 cars. They say, oh, this is the guy we are subsidizing. If you don't have a car, you don't have any business joining the subsidy. So you're in your own country, you're pitching even people who have cars and the people who don't have cars. You're creating anarchy yourself. That's the part of the reason I knew that, look, fine, those guys who came with the 141 or 143 price, they really wanted to carry it through. And if Nigerians did do what they did, they wouldn't have come down to 97. Now, way forward is, I think that we should be looking at a regime whereby the Jonathan administration, for the next 3 years or so that it's going to be around, does not have to come one day and say they're increasing or removing any further subsidy. If whatever they gain now, their focus this year should be in the next few. You can actually pop up a few refineries in 6 months, 1 year. It's not such a big deal anymore. If you are committed to it, all right? So if they do that, then we can use our own fuel here, our own crude oil here, to refine for what we need locally. And therefore, we're not selling everything abroad. And I think that's the way to go. I was mentioning the UAE earlier, and what they do is they don't subsidize PMS, but the refining procedure and all that infrastructure is working so well that they sell around 50, 56 naira to the barrel. But what they do is that they subsidize transportation. So all taxis in the UAE, all public taxis, they get the fuel for free. So you could be in a taxi and it drives to the pump station and it loads up for free. So that the transportation can be cheap, both for their local people who need to enter taxis or for you so-called tourists who is coming to enjoy their country. And our people go to this place so often and they see all these examples. So you cannot come and unleash neoliberalization on us and say, oh, look, let's not put subsidy anywhere. As we speak today, our government still subsidizes health. You can't but subsidize health. That's why you have general hospitals and all sorts of things. Even if nothing, you're paying the doctors and co that work there. If we criminalize subsidy and forget that the reason why government exists really is about subsidy, then one day somebody will say, let's privatize all the health sector. Like they've almost finished privatizing the educational sector with all sorts of private universities coming and less funding going to public universities, and those ones are dying. And yet all of us are products of public universities. So that's our real challenge, is to ensure that the neoliberalists don't railroad us into a regime whereby everything will be for the highest bidder.
Okay. Wisdom Chap Jumbo is saying what's next for Nigerians is for us to trust this government. I think this government will make a great change. But what I want President Goodluck Jonathan to do is to make sure the funds from this subsidy is well managed and corruption in the petroleum downstream sector is brought to book, because that's the only way he can get Nigerians' trust back. The cost of governance is another major issue President Jonathan has to look into. We all know he's a great president, and I pray Nigerians give him a chance and trust him to make this country great. Yesterday,
Honorable Dino Melaye was in the EFCC, I think I saw it on TV, and with a petition on what he and his group wanted the government to do. The tragedy is that it shouldn't be a Dino affair only. It should be a scenario. If we knew what was created, even on Facebook and all the groups, Facebook, BB, and what have you, Twitter, what have you, all the gizmos. If we understood the opportunity that we have right now to be part and parcel of decision making in this country now and even into the next regimes that will come, then those movements, they have faces. Why should it be the only Dino that's articulating something? By now, government should be barraged by thousands of position papers. Say, look, do it this way. This is what we think. Let them now sit down and know what they want to do. Otherwise, it's become a political affair. The opposition people are the ones that don't want us to succeed. But what the people need to do is not only to trust. In fact, the truth is that the age of trust is dead. But too long, Nigerians have actually been trusting and trusting and trusting you. And someone messes you up and comes to you and says, trust me again. In fact, that was the problem, one of the problems of the strategy to sell the oil subsidy. They were coming and say, please trust us. Okay, Madam Okonjo-Iweala comes and say, please trust us. And I say, well, we look at you, we think you're a nice woman, but sorry, we can't trust you anymore. Not you. Okay, but we can't just trust government anymore. The issue is not to placate people and say trust government. Now is the time for vigilance. Now is the time to be articulate even the more. Now is the time to propose those positions that we think will work to the government. Now is the time to insist and insist and insist. Okay, now is the time to use several approaches to get your point across. Not violent anyway, but several approaches, several papers. Now is the time to come up with those figures. Nigerians came up with figures in the last week about how something is not even being subsidized. They come up with figures of how to run refineries. We've got the knowledge. This is the greatest opportunity we're going to have in a lifetime, I tell you. And if we pass up on this opportunity, I don't know what's going to happen. Really.
Okay, another question coming is, with the reduction in fuel price to 97 naira, please, Nancy, I want to know how much subsidy is being removed and implications of reducing the price from 141 to 97 naira. This question keeps coming up. At the end of the day, is this price...
Government will tell you that it's 97 minus 141.
That should give her about 54 naira.
The other technocrats that are outside government, they disagree with that. Let me say it this way. My position on this is, we've heard a lot. They say, oh, Peter Esele and Abdul Wahid, Omar, whoever, they went and collected the bribe and all that. See, it doesn't work like that. If you want to take on government, for example, on any issue, you must understand how government works. If someone is invited to Aso Rock to go and defend a position, you don't go there being belligerent. If the president comes in your presence, no matter how much you don't like his guts, you will not shout on him and punch him in the face. It is your excellency, sir. So these people went there, they tried their best as human beings. Now, there are many instruments open to government that is not open to individuals. The instrument of coercion, even the instrument of blackmail. Governments around the world, they use it legitimately. Go to the United States, there's what they call the Patriot Act, which enables the FBI to tap your phone, to hack your mail without even telling you, to get all the information on you. There's no privacy anymore. Came after September 11 and is still in operation. Okay, so when those guys went there, they argued the position of the people. They tried their best. They had these meetings into the wee hours of the morning. Okay, and at a point in time, the president, the government itself needs to save their own face. So they say, okay, please go. We'll decide something. And so the government announced what it did. We cannot expect the government to go back to 65 entirely, for example, and then now say, okay, now we will now begin to talk. By then, they would have really emboldened the people and put themselves in a cul-de-sac. So the strategy. Now, if this is the case, you say, okay, fine, you've given us 97, but I'm telling you, from my position today, that price can be less than 97, a lot less, if only we made our refineries work. But if only also that Nigerians should reorientate themselves. That word has been used for too long. It's not about reorientation alone. We are a people that are thrown together, supposedly by the British and co, but we have failed to use the best of our abilities, the best of our cultures. When in times back you could say that the Northerners were honest and humble people, but things are changing for the worse. You could say that the Igbos were valiant and enterprising, but things are changing for the worse. A lot of companies have closed in the East also. You could say the Yorubas were erudite and scholarly and all that. I'll take you to my state. Even in Ondo State, there's a nosedive in educational level and literacy level already. So instead of us to use the best attributes of this cornucopia of people thrown together without their own consent, which is how most countries are formed anyway, what we have done is to use only the bad aspects of what they have, and thereby we have actually decimated the good aspects that these people have.
Okay, Mr. Fasua, lastly, because I'm actually making this program interactive, we've been getting quite a whole number of mails. It's coming from Oluyemi Daniel Ludikwe saying, good day, Nancy, good day to you, and same to the guest. My question has always been, how many liters of fuel do we consume per day before this time? Design Alice Maduke of the Petroleum Ministry has said 35 million liters. Anyway, how much is per liter of imported fuel? Why is the government still insisting on the masses to pay the same amount for the same numbers of liters of fuel, even after discovering that some cabals still out of the total imported? And four, why is it so difficult for the government to prosecute those cabals directly?
One of the things I've heard in all the discussions is that Madam Diezani herself should not be probing a case that she is part she is under
that the Petroleum Ministry should not probe.
The more key reason why we should know that what we got is the people's victory, because it was only after the announcement of 97 that we're now saying, she now said, oh, we're going to probe all these parastatals under me. I'm like, what's the minister supposed to do in the first place? You ought to be on top of your game with all these people. You know, so
okay, I think I understand what you're saying.
Yes,
that if she's on top of her game,
certainly, a minister also. It's not now. It's because people shouted. They now said, okay, we're going to probe all the ministries under me. I'm going to conduct. There are even KPMG audits, all those kind of audits. Some of them discredited, some of them good. So we now go back to all of them. That's what we ought to have done before even coming to us to say you are deregulating totally. You see, that's what you ought to have done. But you could see that clearly, clearly. The people that scored the victory and put government on its toes. We want to ensure government remains on its toes. In my view, where they are subsidizing, see, we should not focus, some issues are mundane, overflogged. The bottom line is this: if the sector was functioning effectively, if the refineries were working and they were working honestly, if Nigerians also they can reduce their knack for super profit, because most of the people who made mega profit, trillions in this place, they are all Nigerians also, who prefer to make super profit and watch the rest of their men and countrymen die in poverty. If we could reduce our pension for super profit and run our refineries more efficiently, then perhaps we'll be buying the crude oil the petrol at 40. It's not a big deal. We shouldn't make a big deal out of what's not a big deal, really.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on the program again.
You're welcome, Nancy.
And for your...
I must say that this is a national service. I've got, yes, everybody has their own little business they do, but I see what you're doing. It's a national service. I try to chip in my best from time to time. Nigerians are very funny. They say, oh, somebody, if they see you take any positions, you've collected money somewhere. It's not about the money.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Fasua, and I wish you a nice day. I've been speaking with Tope Fasua, the CEO at Global Analytics. He's also an economist and an author. We've been talking about the hottest debate in town. Of course, our eyes are still on the situation. We'll continue to follow that very closely. I also want to thank every one of you that has written in. Our page is just agog with comments and contributions, but there's just a limit to what I can take this morning. But keep them coming. Don't be discouraged. Just like Tope said, failure is in the mind, isn't it? So we shouldn't have that attitude of failure. Thank you all for joining us. I am Nancy Lo. See you tomorrow on the same station, African Independent Television, the TV station of the year. Bye now and have a splendid day, everyone.